Hey, how's it going? All right, most of you guys probably heard the president speak, but I thought this one little clip, this part was interesting, so I wanted to talk about it. So let's play this little part and then we'll talk about it.
And that all contributes, I think, to a sense that uh, if a white male teen was involved in the same kind of scenario, that from top to bottom, both the outcome and the aftermath might have been different.
I have to agree with him, in most cases, because the majority of white kids would not attack. I can't even, I can't even imagine somebody attacking somebody for following him. It doesn't even enter my mind. So this thing with Obama and CNN and all those other news outlets that have this issue, and they can't get over the fact that this case is over. George was found not guilty based on self-defense. That means that when you defend yourself, you are not guilty of any crime, no crime. So it doesn't matter what crime you were doing at the time that you were defending your life, you're free. So basically what they were trying to do is I know they put a hold on the evidence so that they can try to hold back George's gun. I believe I heard, I'm not, don't hold me to this, but when people heard about this, several people offered to give him guns. I believe now he's probably had 100 offers to buy him a brand new gun. So if they think they're being slick by holding his gun, go ahead, hold it. It's a cheap gun anyway. The reason they're holding it too is I can imagine that gun's worth some money. Of course they're cheap guns. But that particular gun, because of its history, somebody's going to want that on in their collection. The gun that killed Trayvon. I mean, this is Americana. That's why they're not letting him have it right now.
Now, the question for me at least, and I think for a lot of folks, is where do we take this? How do we learn some lessons from this and move in a positive direction? I think it's understandable that there have been demonstrations and vigils and protests, and some of that stuff is just going to have to work its way through as long as it remains nonviolent. If I see any violence, then I will remind folks that that dishonors what happened to Trayvon Martin.
I guess he didn't see the violence. Uh, I saw it. I saw them, jumping on cars and busting out windows and whatnot. I guess he doesn't really care. That's not real violence. But if real violence does happen, you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to remind people. Not going to hold them responsible. He's going to remind them that it's not a good thing. It's not honoring Trayvon's memory.
And his family. But beyond protests or vigils, the question is, are there some concrete things that we might be able to do? I know that Eric Holder is reviewing what happened down there, but I think it's important for people to have some clear expectations here. Traditionally, these are issues of state and local government, the criminal code.
Traditionally, unless he can stick his nose in it. Yes, that's right. It's got nothing to do with him.
And law enforcement is traditionally done at the state and local levels, not at the federal levels. That doesn't mean, though, that as a nation, we can't do some things that I think would be productive.
In other words, as a federal government, there should be something that he can do that he thinks is productive.
So let me just give a couple of specifics that I'm still bouncing around with my staff. So we're not rolling out some 5-point plan, but some areas where I think all of us could potentially focus.
This is what we call floating a balloon. He wants to see how it's going to be received. If no one says anything negative, then he's going to go ahead with his plans. Otherwise, we'll see.
Number one, precisely because law enforcement is often determined at the state and local level, I think it would be productive for the Justice Department, governors, mayors, to work with law enforcement about training at the state and local levels in order to reduce the kind of mistrust in the system that sometimes.
We here at the local level don't want the federal government down here messing around with our local police. Keep your nose out.
Currently exists. When I was in Illinois, I passed racial profiling legislation, and it actually did just two simple things. One, it collected data on traffic stops and the race of the person who was stopped. But the other thing was it resourced us training police departments across the state on how to think about potential racial bias and ways to further professionalize what they were doing. And
So basically, what he's saying is they want to go into the local police departments and tell them how to think, how to do their job. You know, look, when you're hired as the president, you do the job of the president, all right? And keep your nose out of other things. Guess what? We actually have a document. It's called the Constitution. It's set up specifically to limit your ass, all right? It's a leash. Now, wear it like a gentleman.
And initially, the police departments across the state were resistant, but actually they came to recognize that if it was done in a fair, straightforward way, that it would allow them to do their jobs better, and communities would have more confidence in them, and in turn be more helpful in applying the law. And obviously, law enforcement's got a very tough job. So that's one area where I think there are a lot of resources and best practices that could be brought to bear.
Oh, good. He's going to go and stick his nose in our local government. That's going to help us out.
If state and local governments are receptive.
Well, I can tell you right now, if my local government has anything to do with it and I have anything to say about it, no, they're not going to be receptive.
I think a lot of them would be. And let's figure out, are there ways for us to push out that kind of training? Along the same lines, I think it'd be useful for us to examine some state and local laws to see if they are designed in such a way that they may encourage the kinds of altercations and confrontations and tragedies that we saw.
All right, here he is sticking his nose where it is certainly not wanted. Look, 30 states now have some sort of stand your ground law. 30. That's more than half. All right? Guess when they began being created? Well, Florida was the first one in 2005. So all the rest of them came after that. And this is really upsetting him. He's pissed off. He is not liking this at all. And you know what? I get a little bit of enjoyment out of the fact that he doesn't like it because that means all of his people don't like it. And, it's just the opposite of the way I feel.
In the Florida case, rather than diffuse potential altercations. I know that there's been commentary about the fact that the stand your ground laws in Florida were not used as a defense in the case. On the other hand, if we're sending a message.
This is the guy who's supposedly a professor of law. He does not understand self-defense or stand your ground. He doesn't understand the law at all. And what's funny is he thought that the prosecution was going to win.
As a society in our communities, that someone who is armed potentially has the right to use those firearms, even if there's a way for them to exit from a situation.
There was no way for George to exit. We know that. And just saying it is ridiculous. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this up. I'm going to talk about it later, but I wanted to bring this out. Good talking to you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.